Welcome in to the I-80 boys. I am. What the hell is this guy? Holy shit. Who's this guy? Who the hell are you? And where you been? Whoa. Where you been, brother?
Oh, sorry there. I had to bring my luggage with me, and it was Louis, as they say out there.
Oh shit, man. Well, I always ask the question, what are we doing today? What are we talking about, Christian? But I think I got an idea, brother. What are we?
I think you did too.
Man? Other than you struggling to put that fucking headset on.
Yeah, man. Listen, my fat fucking head and this cowboy hat don't go together. Well, brother, listen. I think today. All right, I think today. By the way, if I didn't introduce myself, I'm so sorry. My name is Christian, a.k.a. the Rocky Mountain, not oyster, but Rocky Mountain enthusiast. All right. I am your co-host on the show. Chris, I think today a good thing for us to kind of look at getting into is, I want to kind of revisit the Neon Deion experience over at Colorado.
You goddamn right.
We kind of touched on that a little bit. I feel like earlier this year, a couple of months back when we first started, we were just getting going with it. We didn't really know. We were just kids back then. Fuck, you weren't. You were a grown-ass geriatric over there.
Oh, for sure. 100%. In the wheelchair, day one.
Day one, by God. AARP card carrying, yes. Big dick.
You know what? I got to touch on this for a second. It's so funny. And I almost think it's you, by the way. I got a quick story on this AARP bullshit. Ever since your dumb ass fucking posted that goddamn intro, remember what podcast it was? I have gotten email after fucking email after email from those people. Literally, it's like a junk email thing, right? But every time I see it, I think of you and your little freaking intro to the whole thing, man. It just pisses me off when I see it. I'm like, this son of a bitch like signed me up low key, didn't he? Like actually for real. I really think you put my email address in that son of a bitch. I really truly do, Christian. You sound like that type of guy. I know you well enough. You would do some shit like that, brother.
You're absolutely right. I probably would try to sign you up. But I don't fucking really have. This is really the only technology I have, man. I'm not really good enough at working the fucking email and shit.
Oh shit. Let's get into it, baby. Let's go. You know I'm big on the Buffs this year. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's have a debate because I know me and you got a little different takes on this. And I've been waiting for this, dude. I've been waiting for it.
All right, Chris. So again, as we said, 2023 Colorado Buffs revisited. I mean, Chris, what do you think, bud?
Well, here's the deal. I believe I said, I like I said, if I'm wrong about something, I'm gonna let this go right here. Like I said, day one, I think you're the same way, Christian. If we're wrong about something, we'll admit it, right? I believe I took, Colorado. I said, earlier this season, or it's not even the season, a couple months ago, I said 7-5, and I'm gonna stick basically with that. I know that Colorado's schedule is absolutely freaking brutal this year. I understand that. We've seen some clips in a little bit of preseason practice and stuff like that on some of these teams this year. I just feel that Colorado, with the hype behind Deion Sanders, man, and I'm going to stick to it, man. I truly do think he's going to bring a different culture in there. He's brought a ton of different players coming in this year. I'm really big on. I love this kid, this Travis Hunter kid, man. I just was hearing the other day he's going to play both ways, man. That'd be one of those guys since like Charles Woodson, right? Back in 97, I think. Played both ways, won a Heisman, was also a kick and punt returner. The kid's just a tremendous athlete. Probably one of the best athletes, and I use that word a lot, probably too much, but probably in the country, man. This kid's a stud. But yeah, he's just one player, right? And, they went 1-11 last year. They're definitely going to improve, and I'm going to stick with about that, 6-7 win. The biggest thing is though, and like I said, the schedule is brutal. They don't have a PUD schedule like some of these other teams we've talked about. It's going to be tough for Deion to turn it around in 1 year. And I think I'm close to Colorado here, but I don't think that fans are expecting them to, go 11-1 or 10-2 or, make a goddamn high-end, bowl game this year. But man, there is a ton of freaking, traction behind this guy. And it's not just Deion Sanders, right? Deion Sanders isn't playing the freaking football game at Colorado. He's their coach. It's the players that got to do the job out there, and the coach is doing their job. And I understand that. I just think Colorado is going to have a good season this year in their terms. Like I said, I really, truly, I'm going to stick with what I said earlier on these pods, man. I think they're going to be right around that 7-5. And I think the year after that is where I think we really start digging deep. But Christian, I want to hear your thoughts there as I was rambling on. And I know you're going to go the other way here.
Well, I love it right here. Children of the Corn, a.k.a. the old cock over there. He says, one of the extended car warranty spam. So dumb. Yeah. Listen, I would almost, that's probably really what I would sign you up for. Some shit like that, bro. Somebody trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. Listen.
You're a salesman, though, are you not?
Hey, salesman, televangelist, Deion impersonator. I do it all.
Redneck.
Over here, okay. Yeah.
Go ahead, though, man. Sorry to take you off topic there.
No, you're all good. Here's the reality of it, Chris, and like you said, when we revisited this, I was sold. It's funny you bring up being sold here. I was sold by you on Colorado. I was sold the snake oil that is this, okay? And let me tell you right now, I think Colorado is going to be good. They're going to be better than what they were last year. Last year they went, 1-11?
Yeah.
They're going to definitely be better than that. There is no question, no doubt in my mind. Do I think, though, am I going to put them in that camp of, a winning season this year? I don't know. We'll kind of get into that here in a bit. I had them. I pegged them at like 5-7 last year. That was kind of where I thought realistically they could go. Here's the thing. What makes Colorado so tough to break down is it's not like most of the other teams that we look at when we're breaking something down. It's not like you get majority of the roster back. No, Colorado, most of that roster is gone. This is a bunch of 3 stars and, some 4 stars and 5-star guys kind of sprinkled in, right? All across. There's really only like 2 5-star guys, I think, on that roster. Everybody else is really like in a handful of 4 stars, but everybody else is kind of mainly 3 stars, I think, from other programs around college football. So this makes it really, really tough because, you got to think about it, right? They definitely weren't at Colorado last year. And some of them didn't even play like major Division I football either.
Okay.
So
can I rebuttal that though, real quick?
Yeah. Go ahead.
They went 1-11 last year. Whatever they fucking had there wasn't working either, though. You know what I mean? Whether they had fucking 4 stars there and a bunch of 5 stars, there's only so many 5 stars out there. And this is why I'm going to get into a heated debate with you here, in a little bit. But they pretty much had to revamp that whole roster, right? Hell, what they were atrocious last year, Christian. I don't know how much, Colorado football you followed last year. I got to see a little bit here and there being over here, but man, they were fucking terrible. I don't know any other word to say that. They were terrible. They've been terrible since 2016. 2016 was the only year where I think they made if I'm not mistaken, the Pac-12 title game that year. That's the only outlier since they've been in the Pac-12. They've been really, really bad. And that 2016 team was pretty loaded, but they've been bad for a while, so I think change is good for them. Would you agree, or do you think they should have brought back a bunch of those guys off that 1-11 team in a losing culture?
I'm not saying that they should have brought them back, even remotely close. I'm not saying that. However, what I am trying to say is from breaking that standpoint down, they are going to be better. But are we going to sit there and say they're going to go undefeated, or they're going to shock everybody and run the table? Fuck no. I'm just saying. I guess really what I'm trying to say with this, Chris, is this could either go really good for him this year, but it could also go really bad for him too. I'm not saying that, Deion's going to have them like being scrubs or being slouches, but they're also playing against a lot of other schools, and there's a lot of other things that can kind of go on there where I still think, again, my opinion of them has not changed. I still think their best case scenario this year, probably a 5-6 win team.
So we're close.
Yeah.
And we'll here, let's I'll end with this before we start breaking it down a little bit, but I honestly think though that like even if they win 4 games, it's going to take Deion a little bit of time. Now, I understand in the coaching landscape, especially college football nowadays, that they're not allowed a lot of time to turn a program right over. I mean,
No.
Scott Frost got 4 years here. He should have been fired before he did, in my opinion, but I'll use him for an example. But they don't give you a lot of time, and Deion is, let's be honest, he's not from Colorado. He took this job. He loved the AD, man. He fell in love with what he told him and preached him and sold him, if you will say. I just think, though, on a wins and losses, yes, they're very, very important. But I just talking about a culture standpoint. I think you give him this year, regardless kind of what the record ends up being, give it just a little bit of time, man. I don't see Deion not being successful here. And that's where I'm kind of at with this whole thing. I mean, yeah, 7 wins, I might say. You'll say 5. Regardless, it's better than a 1-11 season, bro. I mean, they were freaking awful last year, bro. I'm not kidding you when I say there's probably some good high school teams at times could have gave them a run. I mean, they looked horrible last year.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I definitely agree with you on that. I mean, here's the reality of it too, though, Chris, and that is, I think we both are, we kind of muddy it up a little bit. I think there's a window on this, and we both agree on that before Deion jumps and he bolts out of the program here at Colorado. Doesn't really seem like a natural fit or a natural marriage between the two. Like I said, I think it's about a 3-year window, personally. Okay. I think 3 years. I think the dynamic starts to change. I think the first year is going to be really rough for him, for his standards. Okay, I'm not talking overall. I'm not saying they're going to do something crazy like only have 2 wins. I'm just saying they had a 4-win season.
Though. That guy's a winner.
Yeah, by his standards, he could have a relatively rough season. So if that happens, don't be shocked. But I think year 2, I think that's when they really start figuring it out, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in year 2 that's going to be good for them, right? Such as Utah loses a quarterback, USC loses a quarterback.
Oh, for sure.
And guess who else is losing a quarterback? Washington, Oregon, Oregon State. You know what I mean? That could be that. I mean, everything's lining up for Colorado in the Deion Sanders year 2. I'm not discrediting this year. However, what I am saying is I'm not worried one bit on offense. I think they'll be all right on offense. They'll figure that part of it out. They're going to have Shedeur Sanders. He's going to have to get him on pace there and get him going. I think really the question for me starts on the defensive side of the ball, and it starts up front. What are your thoughts, Chris?
No, it's going to come down to, can they play some sort of fucking defense? That's the big thing. I mean, let's be honest. It's Deion Sanders, right? You're a kid. You're an athlete. He's got a son at quarterback, Travis Hunter, who I am in love with. Like, I think he is just a tremendous athlete, as I stated earlier. They got some guys on offense that are going to make some plays, right? I think, and you know me, and I'm going to stick with my theory. I don't believe the Pac-12 has the toughest defenses. Problem is, Colorado's defense is a huge freaking question mark. You know what I mean? We just don't know. They were atrocious last year. Is he bringing anybody, in on that side of the ball? I honestly don't freaking know, until we see it. So no, I agree with you on that standpoint. It might be a lot of, they're going to be the wins that they do get this year, probably going to be track meets. You know what I mean? They're going to be high scoring affairs, a lot of offense. I don't think he makes a huge change, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I hope he does with his coaching staff and the guys that he's brought in. But I mean, that's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough, because you just mentioned it. Bo Nix. You know what I mean? He's in that goddamn conference. Caleb Williams. I don't believe they play Washington on their schedule this year with Michael Penix, but I mean, still, there's some teams in the Pac-12 that can put up some points. It's going to be very tough. Washington State is a team that I think is going to be kind of under the radar, can put up some points. Going to be very, very, very tough. You get TCU off the rip, right? I know they lose a ton of people, but it's TCU. TCU isn't a scrub. So, God, we all know who they play week 2. So, yeah, it's going to be tough this year. And I agree with you. You did make a good point there that, like, for Deion Sanders' expectations of what he's always been about, the guy's a fucking winner. He's been a winner at everything he's done. But, man, when it comes down to this year, yeah, I mean, maybe a 7-5. I think if they win 7 games this year, to me, is just that's a damn good season for that program. You know, I mean, is it a damn good season for upper echelon programs? Absolutely not. But for him in that program, winning one game last year, I think that's huge. And I do truly think that's where they're going to get.
I'll tell you what, dude. I'll do one even better.
Okay.
You got to be going 7 wins this year. Colorado, I'm going to write it down right here on our bet slip. If Colorado wins 7 games, then I'll come over and cook you.
Ooh.
I will come over and cook you and your old lady. I'll cook you guys a 4-course meal. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect.
And if they lose less, and if they take the under on that, so they lose, they win less than 7 games, you come over and do the same thing for me.
Okay, deal, bro. You better make something fucking good though. Not any of that Georgia Southern shit that I know you guys like doing. Cooking up roadkill and shit.
First of all, brother, let me tell you right now, some Southern fried chicken with some gravy.
Oh, that sounds,
you know what I mean?
Good. Man, I'll eat that. I'm with some roadkill skunk and some shit over there, dude.
Maybe some possum ass over there for you.
No, I know for real though, bro. I think I'll take that bet. Man. I know you look at we'll get into the schedule here shortly, man. I keep referring back to that just because it's so brutal. So it's gonna be tough.
I'm writing this down. Give me 1 second there.
We got a comment up in here too, and Daniel's got a comment here coming in. Colorado will be lucky to get 6 wins. This Power 5 football, not FC. I agree. No, this is where like I said, I took kind of a hot take on this bet, but Christian, I want to kind of hear your thoughts on his comment as well here. But I truly think, man, like I think people are. I want to get into the schedule here. That's what I want to do because I have a kind of a bold take coming up here on the TCU game, and I think if they can pull that one off, man, I know that sounds like a crazy take here, Christian, but I truly think, man, like they're going to have a shot in that game. That's probably going to be a game day game. I think that's probably the biggest game of the week, week 1. I think maybe I'm wrong on that one, but what do you think here, man? What do you think, and what do you think about Daniel's comment here, man?
First of all, I love it. If I'm not mistaken, I think, Daniel, just remind me again in the chat here, buddy. I think you're a Washington fan, if I'm not mistaken. 91 Huskies, all the way around.
That is him.
One of the better teams in all of college football. Sorry, we didn't think that list up, man. That was Bleacher Report on that. Yep. So I can understand it. You know, I'm high on Washington. I said old Penis Jr. over there is going to do a great job this year. No, nothing but love. I think he agrees with me. Hey, they're going to be lucky to get 6 wins. All right, it's not FCS, right? This is the big time. It's the big time. Chris, what you were asking me? Sorry, I was writing that down. I didn't get a chance. Remind me one more time. What's the game you're looking forward to here again?
Just week 1, TCU, dude. Let's bring up that schedule right now, Christian. If you
let's go ahead and do that. I think, and I'll give you my thoughts on this. This is going to be this isn't the TCU of last year. Okay, I think this is going to be a much different TCU team. I think it's going to be kind of a track meet, if you will, as far as it's going to be a high scoring game. Probably both defenses are not going to be that great. Give me. I don't know, man. I like Deion in that game. Deion, I always go with quarterback, like coaches with quarterback experience. I mean, that's Deion's son, man. I mean, he's had him for a hot minute. So I like Colorado in that game. I think they're going to open up as maybe some underdogs there against TCU. Would you say?
Yeah, and they will. They'll definitely be underdogs in that game. And I am going to lean TCU in this game just because of the experience. They still got the head coach back. Just the promise of last year and how it ended or whatever, and TCU's great run, right? Colorado, first game of the season. Christian, you've known this forever about me, man. I'm really big on teams in the beginning of the year, usually much different, team at the end of the year, right? I mean, the goal is always to get better, but that is always not the case, right? Colorado, first year, I think there's going to be some jitters. I think TCU has it a little bit more in check, and I think TCU squeaks that one out. I do. But I think, like you said, going to be probably a track meet. Going to be some points scored. I think it will be closer than the experts think. I sound like Lee Corso right now, but that's kind of where I'm at with that one, bro. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, again, give me Colorado in that game, okay? Just for that game.
For a team that's only supposed to win 5 wins, and knock off TCU, huh?
Yeah, I think they knock off TCU. Well, listen, bro, they got half their fucking rosters getting drafted or graduating. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just saying. Here's the reality of the situation. What TCU did, and you're really high on them. They're gonna take some steps back. I think going into next year. Okay. Let's look at Nebraska here. I like Nebraska in that game. You know, last week you blasted me for saying South Carolina could win the SEC East. I'm going to blast you because I know you're going to pick Colorado to win against them.
And the only reason why is because it's at home. And I remember this rivalry. I'm a Nebraska kid, obviously. Colorado is the team I hate more than any team in college football. Sorry, Colorado fans. But I am big on Colorado this year, so it's hard for me to say. But here I am. No, I do, because Nebraska is in the same boat, essentially, right? And this is why I take a stance here and put my fucking foot in the ground, is that Nebraska's got a new coach in Matt Rule. We're implementing a new system here. We won, 4 games last year? Colorado won 1, right? And I'm not comparing last year, teams, but we don't have much of a culture going around here either. So I think this game, I'm just going to lean with the home favorite. I can't believe I'm fucking saying this. Now I'm going to lean with Colorado. I think technically it's still a coin flip. I hope Nebraska wins in my heart. Absolutely. I'm a diehard Nebraska fan to the end. But I could see Colorado coming off a loss after TCU, going back home, getting their stadium, their crowd, everybody into it. I've been watching a lot of Deion podcasts and stuff like that. The guy's a motivator, man. He really, truly is. I'm just gonna lean that way, that Colorado wins that game. As much as I hate to freaking say it, Christian kills me to say it, but I'm gonna be there. I know you're laughing on the other end over there, but that's about all I got on that one, brother.
Nah, brother, I know it tears you up inside. Don't worry. Let's do this. Let's jump into where we were right, where we were wrong here before we really get down to breaking down what their actual record is in here. Okay. I think, again, Chris, where we were right, where we were wrong with this is, again, kind of like we talked about, they look kind of small to me, right? Before we get into this, they look kind of small to me on both lines of the scrimmage here, all right? I watched some of their practice film. That defense was getting picked apart by walk-on running backs, all right? The big question in this, Chris, and I'm sure you know it, the big question here is, obviously Deion's going to continue to recruit. Post-spring, I think he's going to continue trying to bring people in here. But how fast can he get them up to speed, even when he gets them in there, right? Their best players on this roster, they're going to be Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn, from UCF, Cavassier Smoke from Kentucky, and Sadao.
Shit, did we lose you? Did we lose Christian? Shit. Well, it looks like I'm the only one left. Hold on a second, guys. Let me
All right, hear me?
Holy shit. Little technical difficulties going on there.
Yeah, little technical difficulties, by God.
That was crazy. There we go.
Anyways,
right. Go ahead. Yeah, where you were at. Yeah, go ahead.
What was the last thing you heard there?
Ooh, it was about a good 30 seconds there, man. You were kind of going off on some stuff. So just just go over what you were saying. That's fine. We're good.
Okay, good. So yeah, here's the reality of it again. Obviously, Travis Hunter, one of the best players in his class, right? He's going to be getting into playing both sides of the ball. I know you've touched on that. He's going to be playing a little bit of receiver for him. And he's also going to be their number one cornerback. Speaking of cornerbacks, okay, Cormani McClain, the number one cornerback in the country last year, is gonna be actually getting some playing time with Travis Hunter splitting both sides of the ball, right? So he's gonna get some playing time very early there. Look, I'm saying all this, and this is where this is all tying into about where we were right, where we were wrong here, Chris. I think where we were right, we said the future is bright for him, all right? At least skill position wise, they're gonna have.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, they're gonna definitely have some things to kind of lean on there, and good for them, man. You know, in the next 3 years, it's really a 3 to 5 year window. I think at Colorado with Deion is really what it is. I just don't see it being more than 3. That's where I think we were right here on this, or going to be right. Future's really bright for him. Where we were wrong, I think expecting them to win right away is really the big thing there, right?
With you. No, I think I mean, but win, man. You're coming off from 1-11 season, Christian. I mean, you win 5 games. That's better than the year before by 4 games, bro. I wish Nebraska would win 8 this year. I mean, that's, you know, I think we're both right and we're both wrong on a few things here, and I think that you probably have more of the realistic, outcome than I do. But I'm really, really banking on Deion Sanders, man. I listen to a lot of his podcasts. I listen to a lot of his speeches. I watch a lot of, pregame stuff or I should say preseason stuff with him, man. I really like what he's doing, man. He motivates me, and I'm sitting in a fucking vehicle driving, right? I just think what he's going to do with those kids. And yes, I will agree with you before you got interrupted there with the connection was they do look small. They really do. I will say that. There's some high school teams that look like almost like they're bigger than they are, and I hate saying that, but the skill positions, yeah, it's great, but if you don't got somebody blocking, man, we know that. And I'm not trying to flip-flop here, but it's going to be very interesting. Colorado is a very, very they're probably what? Would you agree? They're probably the hottest topic in college football this offseason. You know what I mean?
Without a doubt, man. I mean, I think they're the big ticket right now as far as what everybody's talking about is what they're going to do. I'm just saying when you think about this from other standpoints, dude, I think Colorado, you said it best. And it's funny because Children of the Corn brings up Nebraska. You're a Nebraska fan. We talk about this a lot. They remind me a lot of what like last year's Nebraska team was, right? Shit ton of really good skill players, right? You bring in a guy that's experienced at this or not at this level in Shedeur Sanders, but Casey Thompson at Nebraska. You've got Trey Palmer, out there as a dynamic. Yeah, Anthony Grant. So you've got these guys that's Cavassier Smoke, Travis Hunter, and Shedeur Sanders in this situation, right? They're bringing in some linebackers that are transferring out of some Power 5 programs that have actually played a little bit. But the defensive line, brother. The defensive line is the biggest question mark. And that was last year for Nebraska. That was their biggest question. And the scheme, you watched it happen too much. And I called it before the season even kicked off last year. Guys were, offensive linemen that Nebraska was playing. They were getting up to that next level. They were blocking linebackers and they were just running the ball down the throats there, right? And then what would happen is they'd run that little RPO system and they would just dink and dunk down the field. And it was just death by 1,000 pieces, man. It sucked. The other side of that, and we talk about this all the time, is where I draw the parallel here is, Chris, I think you got to ask yourself too, the offensive line, their offensive line has got to be a lot better. I mean, Shedeur Sanders can be good. I think if they run that RPO style of offense, because that's kind of what they want to do, right? They kind of want to run the little bit of some read options, RPO, kind of dink and dunk you down the field. If they can do that, they can kind of hide that weakness, I feel as if, in the offensive line.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to take my stance here, Christian, and this is I know you don't fully believe me on this one, and I'll put my foot in the ground. I just believe Pac-12 defenses are soft compared to most of the Power 5 conferences, and I think they're going to be able to put up some points, and they're going to get in some of those shootouts. And Colorado's got some athletes, man. They really, truly do compared to some of the other teams in that conference. But, yeah, it does come down to defense. I think defense does win you championships 100%. But I'm not saying Colorado's going to win a Pac-12 title this year. Hell, they're not even going to compete for one with the schedule they have. But I do think they get some wins. I think they get hotter at the end of the year. But obviously, the season is going to be rough for them to start. They could easily go 1-4 off the rip. I mean, there is no doubt with the TCU, Nebraska. They definitely could lose both those games for sure. I think they got Colorado State. I think a lot of people are probably saying they beat them. But then you got USC and Oregon, man. I mean, that's fucking brutal. That's brutal for any team in the country. You know what I mean? Those are some good football teams there. I'll even throw Nebraska kind of into that mix. But yeah, you know what? I'm with you, man. I'm going to bank high, man. I'm going to ride the Deion Sanders hype. I'm probably going to get let down, but you know what? Like I said, man, I truly believe in the guy. I think he's going to do a good job. And you did touch on a great topic, Christian. I give you 100% credence to this one. He's only going to be there for 3 to 4 years, without a doubt. And yeah, we're probably wrong. I'm probably a little bit wrong as far as the hype goes this year. Next year, going to look a little bit different, but 100% agree with you on that one. Though I'm probably it's not you, but me. Probably dick riding a little bit too hard right now, but I'm gonna like I said, man, I'm gonna put my faith in the guy, and we'll see how it pans out.
I love it, dude. You want to jump into their record predictions?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do it, bro.
Eddie here. So, with that being said, let's kind of shift gears. Let's take a look at Colorado's schedule here, and we kind of touched on this a little bit. We touched on TCU. I think they beat TCU. You think TCU beats them? Yep. We jump into Nebraska. Again, Children of the Corn, he's one of our super fans here on the show.
Yeah. Like this guy.
Here's the reality of the situation, man. I picked, and you're going to like this, all right? I know last week I was rocking an Iowa hat. I only did that because I had a bet on the Hawkeyes women's basketball team against South Carolina.
And you did pull that off, right? That 5K dub?
I pulled it off, son. Winner, chicken dinner. Take some months off work right there. No, here's
work your entire life. Let's be honest.
Right. Buy some Ball Mall lights and some more scratch off tickets with that kind of shit.
And a fucking cowboy hat. Yeah.
God damn it, right, son? I'll go buy a trailer park. I'm Doug Dimmadome in this bitch.
Now you know what you look like?
What's that?
You look like a fucking trailer park manager.
Dude,
you do, but you're also living in a trailer. That actually is fitting for you Georgia people. God, I'm gonna piss some people off with that comment, but I love it. Perfect, Christian.
I'm like the fucking, I don't know, dude. I'm like the Bud Light version of fucking Yellowstone.
Yeah, you're about. You know what, man? You know what, dude? You look like that guy, dude. You do. You truly do, man.
Hey, you gotta poke fun at yourself. What I was trying to say about Children of the Corn here, if he's still on and listening, is I got Nebraska actually winning the Big Ten West this year.
God damn.
I think first year, Rule unfucks some shit over there. I think Nebraska gets back on. I think they take advantage of a relatively weak Big Ten West.
I mean, if you're looking for my answer on this, I'm not saying that. Oh, man, I want it to happen so freaking bad. I can't put my foot in the ground yet. I can't with a Big Ten West. And you're saying we're playing in the Big Ten title game, is what you're saying.
Oh, I'm not saying you're winning it, but yeah, I'm saying you're playing in it.
Right? No. Oh, man,
yeah,
that would be, I don't even know what I'd do if we did that. For real.
Oh,
that's tough, man. I mean, no, I love your fucking enthusiasm on it, but like, that's rough, man. That would be not that we can't, and it's there if Rule says who he is, and we all want to get, most people get caught up in the hype, right? About every single coach, new coach. I did it for Scott Frost. Matt, I'm not, it's so funny. I think I mentioned this before. I'll mention it again. I was not big on Matt Rule coming here. I believe I told a lot of people I don't think he was the guy for the job, but just kind of changed my mind with everything he's done. And I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for that too, because there's a lot of people in Nebraska that don't think he's the right guy either, but I like what he's done, man, the recruiting class and everything like that this year. And we do have a very, 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 very favorable schedule. So we'll move on with that, Christian.
You know who is arguably, in my opinion, this isn't actually an arguable thing. Colorado State hasn't been that great either, right?
No. I think Colorado wins that game.
Oh, 100%. I give them that. Then they get into what is the gauntlet of the schedule. They're going to play.
I don't care who you are in the nation playing those two teams. You can stick an SEC school to play those two teams right there in back-to-back. I don't care who the fuck you are.
Yeah, I think that's I hate to say it, LL. So I got them right there. I got 1. I think Nebraska wins that game. 2, LL. It's a tough one at Arizona State.
Yeah, I know.
Let's go back here. Where did Arizona State finish? So they finished 3. I draw a line right about here as far as who I think they can beat, just so we're clear. Right there.
They're going to beat Arizona State, dude. I'm not. They don't have Herm Edwards anymore. I don't think that team is that scary. I guess I just don't. I really don't. I think there's such a big discrepancy between the uppers of the Pac-12 in the middle than everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it's like any conference out there. It's, there's going to be a game that they probably win, they shouldn't, and there's going to be a game that they shouldn't lose, but they do anyways. I mean, it never fails. So, like I said, give me in this situation. I think they beat Arizona State. I think they're going to beat Stanford because David Shaw is not there, and even these two programs. I mean, they've slipped from their relevancy a lot, anyways. Sure. I think Deion's a more polarizing figure. The talent's going to be too much for both these schools here, even in that Pac-12. And then they get kind of back into the rough shot area here. Go ahead.
No, and then you just poked on UCLA there with Chip Kelly. I that one's the one that's really, really to me, I think is a toss-up game. You know what I mean? UCLA, whether they start off season 21st or they're up there somewhere. I mean, they've lost some people. I just think that game at UCLA gonna be really tough for Colorado. I'm not worried about Oregon State. And I'm just gonna rattle through my teams here and I'll flip it back to you, Christian, if that's okay. Arizona. I mean, none of these, a lot of those, that bottom half, Utah's, I love Utah. Like, I just love the mindset of that team and their head coach. It's going to be tough, man. I just, like you said, I kind of think where we kind of come to agree on the first 5 or 6 games, kind of where Colorado's going to be with record wise. After that, I think it's like, man, I think Colorado could run table after that too. They also could fucking lose 3 out of 6 games there too. We haven't, I got to check myself when I talk about Colorado. I've kind of realized it with some of the good points that you've made tonight. It's like, damn, like this team was 1-11 last year. They don't have anybody else really off that team, but they also could, fail too, as far as these last 6 games go. It could go either way, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we talked about it before we got on the show. I was kind of showing you some clips and stuff like that I had actually just found of their spring, and it's kind of like, man, dude, just for reference here, for those people that don't know this, I'm 6'3", 300 and some odd pounds, right? So I can tell you right now, I could probably go walk on and be sort of the beef bottom. Deion, by the way, I live on my own, so technically I don't have any parents in my household, so I'm what you want, son, as a defensive lineman. I'm nasty. I'm ready to get with it.
Making the spiel for Christian Hunt coming in, tearing it up on the D line.
I'm just saying, dude, I got 4 years of eligibility. Let's get it. Getting back to their schedule, though, again, UCLA, I got Chip Kelly in that. I think they're not that I think they're going to be a better program long term, especially with Deion. I just think it's in this game right there. I think UCLA, UCLA, I think UCLA is going to beat them. Oregon State was a damn good team last year, believe it or not. They were ranked 17th, I think. Is that what they
crazy last year?
Yeah,
crazy,
I mean, so
for them.
And they bring in DJ the Ukulele.
Yeah.
Butchered that, but they're bringing that kid in, and I think he'll actually light the world on fire there over at Oregon State. So I like them in that game. Damn. Arizona, I'll give them the win at Arizona. Washington State, no, you like Washington State. I don't think they beat Washington State and Utah. I don't think there's any way they beat them either. So then if we go back through and where I said 5 and 7, so that's 1, 2, Colorado State, 3, Arizona State, 4, Stanford, 5 is Arizona.
No, and I mean you're not wrong. I mean a 5 and 7 season is probably the more realistic, outcome to this whole thing. But I am going to just put my foot in the ground. I don't have obviously I don't have a bunch of proof that Colorado's going to fucking win 7 or 8 games this year. No, I don't. I think the hype's going to be real, man. I think they're going to really turn it around after the first 4 or 5 games. They're going to be playing some good teams, man. And I think that's going to make them better. And that's why I think they'll, get into that middle of that Pac-12 schedule, man, and start rattling off some wins. I truly, truly do with the athletes they have. And like I said, I'm going to say it again. Like I got to fucking keep repeating myself every time about the Pac-12. Not much defense is played in that conference. I'm not saying Colorado has a good defense. Not at all. But they got better athletes than some of these people do on the outside. So that's where I think they get the 7 wins. And that's in, my fantasy dream season of Colorado this year. And I'll put my foot in the ground and I'm going to stay there.
Yeah, and that kind of brings us to a good segment, Chris. I think we're ready to jump into this week's hot take. Your favorite segment here, okay?
Oh,
and that is the hot take. You ready for it, Bo?
So let's go.
All right, hot take. Clemson makes it back to the playoffs. What do you think?
100%. They're in. They're in, Christian. Now, actually, they're not. You know why? Because I didn't have them in my fucking playoff top 4 a couple weeks ago. Did I not?
I don't believe you did, but I did.
I did not, and I think it's between them and fucking Oregon. And this is what pisses me off. I was kind of jumping to conclusions there to start the whole thing to see if you caught on to if you actually pay attention to what the fuck I tell you. But no, I think here's what sucks. I actually remember in that segment though I said it's between them and the ACC. One of those teams are going to get one team in. And I'm very high on Clemson this year. I think they win the ACC. I think they beat Florida State out for it. I think UNC is going to be really tough in that conference as well. It sucks, man. I'm really still – I kind of want to change my mind on that. But I think Oregon this year is going to run the table in the Pac-12. And I think Clemson could have one loss. And I think Florida State Clemson this year is going to be very, very important. So that's where I'm at with that, man. And it's not like – it's not – what did Clemson finish last year, Christian? What, like 8-4? They had a really down year, did they not?
Let's see.
They were. It wasn't good for Clemson standards, right? I mean, they've always been competing for a fucking national title,
Let me see here. Hold on one second. You bring up a good point.
Yeah, what was it? Like
to me,
3 or they had quite a few losses last year. It was a rough year. They had DJ Ungalei or whatever the hell his name is, and then they brought in what's his bucket to fill him in, and he got all pissed, and he'd already transferred before like the season was done. A lot of drama going over there with Dabo's team.
I got you. Because you bring up a good point there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think.
Bro. Nah, bro. I knew they weren't 8-4, but they were
10-2.
Yeah. They had 2 losses last year.
Jesus.
No, sorry. They lost to Tennessee in the bowl game. They were, if I'm not mistaken, they were 10-3.
Okay. That feels a little bit better. I thought they had 4 fucking losses. I mean, I guess I apologize coming on air and sound like I knew what the hell I was talking about. I guess no, go ahead.
Sorry, they were 11-3 last year.
They were 11-3. Okay. 2022. I'll pull it up here just to make sure, man. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they were 11-3. Notre Dame lost, South Carolina by 1, and then Tennessee in the bowl game. Syracuse, Syracuse sucked last year. I don't care what anybody says. Wow, Wake Forest double overtime, 51-45 win. That was a PUD schedule they played last year, though, for the most part, other than FSU, Syracuse. I don't think Syracuse was that good last year. Just me.
Yeah, and if you think that was a PUD schedule,
North Carolina win was impressive at the end of the year, though. Wow.
Yeah, if you think that was a PUD schedule, Chris, watch what's going to happen this year. I mean, this year it's going to get a lot easier for them. The other thing too,
really easy. What you're saying?
Yeah, they definitely do, and I'll get into that here in a second. Let's take a look at this, okay? So here's the other side of it. All right, Clemson last year, and this is why they struggled a lot. They ranked 48th in the country last year in total offense.
Wow.
That's really actually not as bad as you would think. I dug a little bit deeper though, right? And they're ranked 73rd in pass efficiency. By the way, I don't think this is a hot take. I think Clemson, and I picked them to get back into the playoffs this year. I absolutely think it is going to happen. So I'm really high on them. 73rd in pass efficiency last year. Here's where they really fucked up last year. They have to stop turning the fucking ball over. They finished tied. Okay, they finished tied in the rankings last year, 9th in turnovers, lost.
Wow. Well, part of that dude was DJ. I mean, that kid played one good game in his whole college career. That was a game where Trevor Lawrence didn't play the year before. You know what I mean? He came in against Notre Dame and fucking lit the world up. He also had some crazy good receivers. Other than that, I was never impressed with that kid. And I don't want to piss anybody off from Clemson, but he was very overrated, in my opinion. He was kind of had the Brett Favre thing. You know what I mean? Going to throw it in a tight window and flip a coin. You know what I mean? I could see that. I did watch a couple Clemson games last year, man. They look not very good compared to what I hold Clemson to such a high standard. So yeah. Go ahead though.
No, I don't think you're pissing anybody off. I think you're exactly right. My next point was Cade Klubnik he's got to be better than DJ was last year for sure.
I think he will be. I think he will be.
Here's the other side of it. Will Shipley, the running back last year that they had, we take a look at Cade Klubnik and what his stats were last year. I mean, he played in some games. He played very sparingly throughout the year. He put up pretty much, I think he had like 2 or 3 games where he really contributed. He almost put up 700 yards. He had, I think, 4 touchdowns because he had 2 rushing touchdowns, but he had 3 interceptions. So the guy's got to play a lot better than that, and I think he will.
And he came in because DJ sucked. You know what I mean? Like he didn't really have a fair share at the job. You know what I'm saying? DJ was very highly recruited, if I'm not mistaken. Very highly recruited.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think he was one of the better quarterbacks, if not the guy out of that class. So out of his class. But I think the other thing too, while Cade Klubnik kind of gets, a little bit more footings to establish there, is a guy, Will Shipley, who I had as one of the top 5 running backs in college football. Dude is a stud, man. 210 touches last year, 1,100 yards, 15 touchdowns. I mean, the guy was electric out there. I think he even put up a little bit of some receiving stats too, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, the kid can ball out, but they got to get him kind of involved early in this offense. Go ahead.
Is that Jordan Shipley's brother from Texas?
No,
I was curious.
I don't think so. Well, no, because I think the Shipleys, if I'm not mistaken, they're all from Texas. This kid's from North Carolina.
You're right. Okay. Just curious.
So, but here's the other side of it, dude. They need someone to step up in that wide receiver room too.
No, they do. And what's crazy is because they've had guys like D-Hop, Amari Rogers, holy shit, I'm missing a couple. T. Higgins, guys like that, you know what I mean? They've always had like a dominant wide receiver, core of guys. Hunter Renfrow, there's another crazy good guy. God, he was insane with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, those guys, or Deshaun Watson, like those guys, like they've always had guys that definitely could play. You know what I mean? At the wide receiver position, they've also had really good running backs too. You had Travis Etienne. Who's the guy before him wasn't bad either. I think it was I'm missing his name right now, but like you're right though. You bring up a good point with Clemson. I do think overall though, with the hot take, and I love this segment, is like I'm very torn on between them and Oregon. One of those 2 teams is going to get in, and I know you like USC a lot this year. We had some debates about that as well. But I'm very. If Clemson makes it, it will not surprise me. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it really wouldn't surprise me either. I think and the other side of this too, to kind of finish up our take here on them is, look, they're going to continue to retool and reload on defense. I mean, they're going to just keep bringing them in over there at Clemson. They're kind of like Georgia in that way, but they're the Georgia of the ACC on defense. They're gonna keep reloading on defense. They did a hell of a job recruiting this year on that side of the ball. This is where I think this all ties in, Chris, and that's the schedule they got this year, brother. Let's take a look at this here. This is Clemson's schedule this year, right?
Okay. Yeah,
they're going to play
my other PC or my other monitor here. I think they got some losses in here, potential losses.
Really.
Do you think Notre Dame, who we just touched on last week? You think that game is just a cakewalk for Clemson? I mean, they got to run the table to get into the fucking Final Four, Christian.
I think it's. You ask if it's a cakewalk. Here's the thing, though, dude. Yeah, I think they can absolutely beat Notre Dame.
This guy, schlong on this dude. So you're telling me those last 4 games, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, I'm not worried about. North Carolina could put up some points, potential loss, and your team that you've been very high on in South Carolina. Clemson gets in. I'm putting you on the seat here, the hot seat there, Christian. I mean, damn you. I mean, to make the playoff, bro, you basically got to go undefeated.
Well, hold on one second. I didn't say that South Carolina. Here's the reality of the situation. You keep saying I said South Carolina would win the SEC East. You can win the SEC East, just so you're aware of it, but have a shit ton of losses outside of the conference.
I'm going to counter this.
How can you counter it? I mean, literally, if they lose,
you have said on air that South Carolina could beat Georgia, which is your. I mean, just all you got to do is look at Christian now and look behind him. All this Georgia bullshit he's got hung on the wall and hats and all this bullshit. I mean, so I was assuming South Carolina is not a cakewalk.
Well, I mean, yeah, South Carolina isn't going to be a cakewalk in the same way Georgia's not going to be a cakewalk. I'm not saying South Carolina is going to come out there and dominate from the opening whistle, but what I am saying is, in both of the same scenarios here, look, Georgia's got to figure out their quarterback position. Cade Klubnik actually got a couple of starts and actually played not a shit ton, but he actually played a couple of full games out there. Carson Beck didn't really get full game experience last year necessarily.
This is the last game of the season, though. Whoever Georgia's got at quarterback is going to be probably well seasoned by that point. I'm a little worried that you're looking at this Clemson thing and don't really know what to say. I don't think that schedule is as easy as you think it is. With Notre Dame, who we're relatively decent to high on, North Carolina, who I know you're not very high on, but I am with Drake May. He's my Heisman front runner. In South Carolina, bringing back Spencer Rattler, man. I think those last 3-4 games there, man, or 4 games, are going to be relatively tough. And I think the playoff, bro, this is why I did not pick Clemson to make the playoff.
Well, let me throw it back at you and let me ask you this question here, okay? They played Wake Forest. Okay, where am I going with it then?
You're going to go with Wake Forest. You're going to give me some bullshit. And then you're probably going to throw at me why I think Oregon's going to beat out Clemson for the playoff spot.
Well, I wasn't going to mention anything about Oregon, but I was going to say, look, Wake Forest, who's their quarterback last year?
Well, that would be my boy over at Notre Dame.
Okay. And who won that game last year? Clemson and Wake Forest. Granted, 2 different teams, but it was pretty much, I mean, you can discount defense on that fucking game.
Yeah, I know who won the game. And I'm not saying Wake Forest is going to be a formidable opponent for him this year. I think Clemson goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh shit, you just forgot. Sorry. Didn't even see on September 23rd who that. Oh, that one hurts. Oh, Florida State preseason like top 5, and you're just dismissing them too.
Yeah, I take Clemson in that game. I'll fucking take Clemson in that game. Look, you're saying Clemson's going to. All right, so let's look at this. Clemson, they're going to beat Duke. They're going to beat Charleston Southern, Florida Atlantic.
Okay.
I know they can definitely beat Florida State.
Or they can definitely lose.
Bro, come on now.
What?
They're not losing to Florida State. Come on.
You want to make a bet here?
Yeah, fuck it. Let's go. What do you got?
Oh, I don't know. Just put a bet down. We'll think about something here. I can't believe you think Florida State's a bunch of scrubs. You just said definitely going to win that game.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Wow. I don't know what you guys from Georgia do, like in your pastime or on the side. I have no idea, dude. Whatever. You think Florida State's going to be a kick? Well, that's fine. I think that game is going to be a crazy good game. I think that's a coin flip to me. I think coin flip Notre Dame is definitely going to be a lot better. I would lean Clemson, but North Carolina, I would even lean Clemson on that one. But I mean, South Carolina, I may lean Clemson too as well. But man, I don't think that the odds of them, those 4 tough games there, that they come out 4-0. If they do, God, yeah, please be in the playoff. But I don't think that schedule is that easy. I really don't.
I do. I mean, I do just because I think NC State's getting worse. They had a quarterback that transferred out. I think Miami, they're still a ways away. Wake Forest got worse over the offseason. Syracuse is, man, they're like the fucking they're like Northwestern of the ACC, right? Like they have a good year and then they just have like 4 shitty years right after that, right? So Notre Dame, I mean, again, we just covered them in last week's episode. I think they have a lot of stuff they got to figure out. They can't even throw bubble screens in practice.
You can't throw a bubble screen, Jared Lorenzen. You can't even throw one and get your fucking ass on the field.
First of all, not only could I throw a bubble screen, but I could throw it clear over the Rocky Mountains that we were just covering there, son.
I'm not talking about a Coors Light can. I'm talking about actually throwing it over the fucking mountain. Come on, dude. Come on, man. Are you fucking kidding me right now that you think you didn't touch on any of those teams? Florida State, North Carolina, South Carolina, Notre Dame, or just like you literally lean Clemson the whole way? Okay, fuck it, man. Clemson goes 12-0 then. That should have been your hot take.
That's not my hot take. I just say, like I said, I'm not saying that they can't lose a game in here. I'm just saying I think that they're gonna make it back to the playoffs. I mean, a one-loss Clemson makes it back to the playoffs, does it not?
What about over a one-loss Oregon team? Only lost to USC, and USC's 5.
Okay, so I mean,
Florida State 6.
What, dude? No. First of all, Oregon's not going to have one loss this year. They're probably going to have at least 2 losses.
Bullshit. Okay, you know what? Save this for another day.
Yeah,
let's run it down the road today, bro.
let's save it a little bit here, Chris.
All right.
We'll agree to disagree. I got him making it to the playoffs. You don't, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're right. You're right. You're exactly right.
Well, listen, it seems like we're a little divided here, Chris. But we have to join back up at somewhere. And that brings us to a great segment that we started introducing, and that's our toxic comment of the week.
Yeah.
I know you get hyped about this. I do too. This is where I let a lot of aggression off, I feel like, throughout the week.
You do.
The reality of it is we put a video out. A couple of months ago talking about Luke Fickell going to, if I'm not mistaken, I think we put a video out saying Luke Fickell could eventually, down the road, a couple of years down the road, end up back at Ohio State as the head coach, right?
Yep.
If Ryan Day keeps fucking off. But the way we worded that, and I was really curious about this because we got a comment. Before I show you the comment, I want to play exactly what we said to make sure we're keeping this genuine.
100%.
Okay.
Yep.
Last thing here, we like to do a lot of hot takes on the show. This is one we've been kind of thinking about. Now, normally when we throw these hot takes out there, there's a little bit of people don't sometimes understand what we're trying to do with this, and that is, again,
explain it to them.
It is not what we think is going to happen. It is just simply we look around the internet, we say, hey, okay, yeah, that's a hot take, right? Like Billy Napier of Florida, Tennessee and TCU not being, finishing the season, ranked next year. These are all hot takes that we find. Here's the reality of it. Here's the hot take for this week. Luke Fickell could be leveraging the job at Wisconsin to get over to Ohio State. He's getting a little bit closer to his alma mater. He's getting a little bit closer to a place I think he's coached at. I mean, and so here's the reality of it. And this is what makes me say this. This was after they lost to Michigan last year. Ohio State fans are calling on Luke Fickell to coach football team. I mean, this isn't me.
Okay. So we very clearly outlined there that was not what we thought, right? That was it's a hot take, if you will, for just a second here. Let me pull up the response to that. Response says from Stephen Lamastis, are these Bug Eater fans? He's getting farther away from Ohio State. Stop. Chris, what do you think, bud?
Bug Eater fans. We used to be called the Bug Eaters before the Huskers, right? So I'll let everybody know that's what that statement was. Now, I'm not going to come at this guy too hard. But, bro, let's be real here. Christian, you're a realist, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know I am, too. We speak our mind. We try to come up with, relevant topics, things that could possibly potentially happen, right? And that's where I'm at on this, man. And this kind of pisses me off a little bit. I'm not going to go like super ham on this dude. And I'm fine. I want people to question my thoughts or what I think and what you think too, Chris. We just did this a minute ago about our hot take, right? I mean, we both think we're both idiots on certain topics. And that's great. That's what makes the world go round. I say this all the time. No, I mean, if you are crazy if you think, I mean, I'm saying this, and I'm not a Wisconsin Badgers fan, obviously, But I do like Wisconsin. Barry Alvarez played at Nebraska, by the way. I know his whole history here. I'm not a dummy. And he modeled a lot of what Wisconsin does off the fucking Nebraska teams back in the 80s and 90s. We all know that if you've been around. So I hope maybe if you didn't know that, I hope you know now. But Luke Fickell, man, I'm a big Luke Fickell guy. I'm huge on him. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a guy that's going to be one of the top coaches here shortly. I think he's going to do really, really, really good things at Wisconsin. I think that was a big hire for them. I wanted Luke Fickell over Matt Rule. I'll say here first, right? But I don't think he stays there. Just like I don't think Matt Rule stays here either when he's really successful, right? Just like we said about Deion. These are realistic things. A lot of coaches want to coach at their alma mater. Luke Fickell played at Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's a little bit bitter and pissed off that he probably didn't get the job when he filled in for Urban and did a fucking amazing job filling in. Now, people are going to say, the haters are going to say, oh, well, that was Urban's team. Hard not to coach a bunch of, 5-star and 4-star guys. Yeah, it actually is, because there's a lot of teams out there that get a lot of talent, right? Bama did. They didn't look for the shit last year. I mean, they played well, but they lost some games that usually Nick Saban doesn't lose, right? I think Fickell, I'm not saying he may be necessarily leveraging the job, but I guarantee you he will be successful there. And I can see in 3 or 4 years him looking to a different school. I think he would love to get that Ohio State coaching job. And we just talked about Ryan Day several times on this podcast. I like Ryan Day. I think he's a great coach, but he is not getting the job done. In what I say by that, some people are going to say, what do you mean Ryan Day's not getting the job done, right, Christian? The guy's, he's in the the playoffs. Well, he's lost to Michigan now. He hasn't won a national title. Ohio State has a very, if not the highest with Bama and Georgia right now, expectations. Win national titles. It doesn't mean shit. Trust me, I'm a Nebraska fan. When Frank Solage, played in 01 against Miami, and we've never made it back to the national title game since, the standard's always been, forever. It was forever. Make a national title game, right? Well, then after years, when you don't make it, it's, at least we're competing for the Big Ten title, right? Or the Big 12 title. Well, now we're down where we're at. You know what I mean? Ohio State is at that peak. They're at the pinnacle of like, hey, if you're not winning it, maybe we just look down the road there. Luke Fickell did a great job over here at Ohio State, and he's an Ohio State guy. I'm not dumb, man. I just think people need to be more open to that, and I think that's what we mean by that hot take. I'm not going to roach this guy, and I love his opinion. I appreciate him commenting on it. But I think you're crazy, man, if you think Luke Fickell is going to spend his whole next 20, 30 years at Wisconsin? That's my question I want to ask to him. What happens if Wisconsin wins 2 or 3 Big Ten titles? Let's say he wins. Let's say he plays in one and wins one, loses one out of the 2. You think he's not looking for another job, or Ohio State or somebody else, bigger that can pay a little bit more, isn't saying, or more higher octane job isn't going to come at him and he's going to take the job? Come on, man. You got to keep those options open, man. And I think that's what we do with our hot takes. I'll kick it over to you, Christian.
Listen, I think you're getting soft in your old age over there. I think you just don't want the smoke, and that's fine.
Whoa.
I mean, that is perfectly fine, because I am about to go scorched earth on this motherfucker. And let me explain why I say that, right? Again, for those that just joining us, somebody had literally thrown the gauntlet down. They called us bug eaters. First of all, son, I'm not a bug eater. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I'm not a bug eater. But I'll tell you what I am. And I'm going to go ahead and just show you right here. Chris, I'm on this right side over here. I'm looking for something very specifically. Is there something that's missing from all these accolades that you see here?
Yeah, I don't see a national title since what? Shit, am I not seeing it?
I don't see any of them. If it's ironic, I don't see any national titles. Huh.
Well,
I click over here to Nebraska, the bug eaters that you referenced.
Oh. Whoa, what's that right there? Claimed national titles?
Unclaimed 6, claimed national titles 5. Huh. So they had 5 national championships. That's funny.
Yeah.
And then I click over to my team, and then I click over to my team over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Not as many, but
pretty relevant lately, though.
Yeah, pretty relevant lately.
Yeah.
4 of them.
Yeah.
Unclaimed. We got another 4 of them over there. Couple of world wars in the mix, if you will. I think this guy, and here's the reality of it, Chris. I think he's a little bit off his gourd, so to say, over there. Okay. I don't think that what we're throwing out is very, very tough to see. I really don't. It's not like we sat down and said, "Hey, we're making this shit up." It's literally we're just literally getting, we're just kind of talking about stuff we read on the internet, dude. I mean, it's not that difficult. Children of the Corn says, and I didn't even know this, you guys are the Old Gold Knights, the Antelopes, and the Rattlesnake Boys. Is that really it?
That's if he's right about this, dude, I gotta bring this guy on the show eventually. Jesus.
I was gonna say, I mean,
those
fuck
were the Bud Eaters before the Huskers. I do know that for 100%, man. That was a good info if that's true. Maybe I'm joking, but damn,
I'm surprised back in the founding days they weren't called the fucking Chris Vacas.
Well, I did maybe deep down, maybe I was on that team back in the day with the Antelopes. You know what I mean? Nebraska Antelopes.
Yeah, bro, I could definitely see it here.
I'm from Antelope County originally, so I don't know if that says anything.
Well, fucking, I'll be damned. I'll be a son of a bitch.
Right?
Well, look, let's take a look at this. I want to
that redneck voice a little bit with that cowboy hat on, dude.
Oh, shock him up, by God. Oh, fuck. Listen, hey, I want to do one last thing before we get off here. There's a video, and this is a segment. This is a new segment I kind of want to introduce every so often. It doesn't have to be every week, but every so often we want to do it here. It's called touchdown or turnover. So if something's good that we see and we react to it, it's a touchdown. If it's a turnover, well, obviously it's bad. It's kind of bad. We're gonna take a look here at Iowa's women's basketball team, their warm-ups versus LSU's women's basketball team's warm-ups in the right before the national championship game. Again, I want you to think about this. Okay, this is for the national title in a collegiate sport here. All right, let's just take a look. I want to get your comments. Please be sure to comment down below in the section here. Okay.
My own way. What about us? What about everything? You want to talk shit? You want to run your mouth? You want the bitches run your mother? We're set this control. We're set this control.
All right. Just for copyright claims, I don't want to keep go much further than that. Listen, I don't think it takes a genius to understand. As soon as I saw that, LSU was going to rock their shit, and that's kind of what happened. Yeah. So, listen.
Refs played a little bit into that fucking game. LSU couldn't miss a shot. But, yeah, I will say turnover. Just start it off real quick and make this segment quick. Iowa, though. You said Iowa wins b-ball warm-ups. Yeah, I mean, goddamn, I played a lot of basketball. I was a pretty good basketball player myself. That ain't the shit I'm listening to. No offense. And, man, Iowa's right up the fucking border here. I mean, I was going to say a little more hype shit than that.
I was going to say you guys weren't playing Disney songs before your football or basketball games.
No, definitely not. None of that Bud Light stuff. So
yeah,
buddy, I was coming with it. No, we weren't doing that, bro. I mean, everybody gets up and into the whatever music they wanted to get them motivated, right? I'm just talking to you as a pretty big time competitor. I'm a competitive person. That ain't what I'm doing. I mean, I'll leave it at that, Christian. I'll kick it over to you.
Well, I think you're exactly right. You bring up a good point. And that might be hey, brother. Hey, listen. We all have the power of being a Bud Light sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think with that, this actually brings us to a really good stopping point. We're approaching the hour and 10 mark here. Yep. Again, guys, we really appreciate all the support that we're getting on the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. We look forward to bringing you guys weekly college football content, and I'll kick it back over to Chris.
Yeah, that's about all I got. Christian touched on it quick, man. I do appreciate it. Children of the Corn, thanks, man, for coming in, and you've been a regular on the show, man. I appreciate it. I'd like to see some more people comment, like, subscribe. You guys see us on YouTube, man. Helps the algorithm out, dude. Just help us out a little bit. We love talking college football. Like I said, we're very realistic people. We're very dedicated to this, and we're dedicated to our teams, right? I want some people to say some shit back to Christian. He jumps off a fucking cliff for some of his takes. So I love it, man. I like to see him get worked up, man. But I appreciate it, guys. Like I said, thanks a ton. And I'm out, man. Peace.